What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolf Brother Mythos, and this guy over here is.
G the Hypersapien.
It is good to see you, beautiful people, whoever shows up. I am horrendously late, 45 minutes late, because I cannot figure out the technologies. Uh, but yeah, we are here. We are live. We're going to try and do the thing. And if it all falls apart and burns to the ground, then we'll just see what happens.
Everyone's blame me.
This is definitely. I mean, we have a motto here at the Frost and Fist, and as if there are no technical problems, it's not a Frosted Fish show. Oh, better late than not showing up. Gamers with coffee, good to see you, my friend. It was almost that second. It was almost that second part. I was almost just to be ready to you just be like, you know what, screw it. Going on. Oh my goodness. I was just like, make stuff work. Gamers Coffee, I hope you're doing well. Wish I had some coffee right now.
Until you like Kermit.
Tea like Kermit, except coffee. How is everyone doing tonight? Gamers with Coffee, you got any big games lined up this weekend? I know you guys are always playing something fun on the weekends. Speaking of which, you guys know Greg is in the living room right now. Well, hello to both of you. Whenever you see him, make sure you give him our regards. But you guys know we did game night the last couple of weeks, and this, of course, we had Freak and I had our 750 point game 2 weeks ago, which went really well. And Freak was the victor, scoring some whopping points for his team. Very close, though. I think he beat me by like 2 points. And then last week, Brother Freak and Brother Atlas did a 2v1 game against Brother Lars. Lars brought, I think, a 1,500 point list. And then each Freak and Atlas brought 750 points. So, yeah. Gale Force 9 tanks on Sunday. Very nice. Got to hit my big K version of Coke Zero. Shout out to Kroger if you want to sponsor us.
Is that a brand that's similar to Coke, is it?
It's just a grocery store brand.
Yeah. Sometimes they taste more nice though. Like,
Sometimes
I don't
yeah.
mind. I'm not the biggest fan of Coke Zero. Feel like it's a little bit too artificial flavor for me.
That's fair. That's fair. Coke Zero is my jam. Good evening, my friends. Long time no talk. Good morning to you, Brother Waylander. I hope you are doing well, my friend. Yeah, we are trying to find a balance now between when we do a show and when we head to the game shop.
Yeah.
And then, of course, next week is my anniversary. So, we'll be. I won't be doing either next Friday. It'll be my 16-year anniversary, he said loudly, hoping he was correct.
Well, I'm sure someone would tell you if he was wrong.
Say what?
I said I'm sure someone would let you know if he was wrong.
Yeah. She responded back, he was relieved because he was correct. Hellwork says, happy anniversary, Lily. Yeah.
How is Lily going?
She is doing well, except for she's got a bit of a cold right now. And so you may hear her hawking up her lungs in the next room. But
Well, I heard a little bit of that on Oni's stream. I was wondering that.
well, early happy birthday to you, Waylander. And thank you for the happy anniversary wishes. At this point, it's the congratulations is really that I've managed to survive 16 years and that she's put up with this nonsense. Thank you, Ashley. So, what you got for a poke shop this week, G? What have you been working on? What you finished up?
Finished? Do we actually finish stuff around here?
Allegedly.
Yeah. Well, I won't get into all the stuff that I've finished. Finished quotation. No, I've just been anyone that keeps updated on what I get up to. I've been working on Mezgike, is it? Was it Mezgike? Was that what we're going with? But yeah, Mezgike
That's right.
Minatures. If you haven't checked him out, he does have a YouTube channel, which he hasn't uploaded for a while, but he does some pretty good tutorials. And now he does sculpting. So if you don't know him, go check him out. If you're into Orcs or Ultramarines, he does some underwater Mezgike. Yeah, so he does Ultramarines. But yeah, I've got what he calls Mezgob, the scrap boss, which is basically a war boss. And then I've got his brother, Bruzgob, the war boss.
I think that big old fist punching in the air is so cool.
Well, yeah, I thought if I'm coming on Frost and Fist, may as well bring the fist, right?
That's right.
A big fist.
A big yellow fist.
But yeah, this would make a good, if for anyone who are into orky stuff and do game, choose me. This would make a good mega armor war boss. He does have the Gunner Grot as well that I'm painting separately.
I'm gonna have to pick up some of the STLs.
Yeah, so you can get physical copies on mezgike.com, which goes to Only Games these days, which is obviously a company that has the rights to 3D print. Or you can get the STLs, and also you can join. It's like I'm sponsored by them, but I'm not. But you can also go to the Patreon, like a lot of artists or a lot of creators have. You can go to the Patreon and you get like monthly, STL files.
Happy early birthday to Killy as well.
Oh, I appreciate that, hell child. I'm glad you noticed. I would say I've been working out, but I haven't.
Just naturally orky.
Yeah. I like games are saying since it's October, they're taking a break from Orcs because the past 2 months it's been Orcs for me. Well, to me, really, it's October every day, every month of the year. Most of the time, it's Orcs. So
I have been celebrating Orktober by working on Ultramarines and Imperial Guard stuff, which is I really need to get in some Orcs this month, but I've got a tournament coming up, so I've been trying to get out my Imperial Guard stuff that I need for my tournament list. And so this week I painted up a medic, which I'm going to show up to the camera as I always do, and it won't show. But
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, get my face out of the way. Yeah. Got my little medic painted up. Need to do some basing on her. I might do that tonight. I built and I've got a Hydra that I'm working on with the 4 autocannons. I've got my Redemptor Dreadnought built up, although that piece I was mentioning on the show that I lost, the backpack plate here, that'll come in on Monday, and then that'll be ready for painting as well. I 3D printed myself some shoulder pads that had like the elite symbol there and some Ultramarine symbols and a little shield on front. And I think the big square shoulders makes him look even beefier.
Yeah, let's see.
I'll kit bash some dead orcs on my wolves bases I'm building. Roxas, have a great night at Earthquake. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if Hellchild wants to make it seem very unrealistic, then yeah, go ahead and do that.
Gee, what your hat says? The shine. The shine. There we go. Got that Joker hat going. I like Gabe says I kit bashed a Nemesis Dread Knight with some leftover night bits. Now it has more armor, a helmet, and a big sword. Nice.
I started wearing this hat when I started doing streams. It was kind of like a joke or just mucking around at first, but it started to become like, part of the streaming now.
I like that it matches the shirt.
Now, yeah. The dog's having a crazy moment. Redecorating, it seems. Now he's looking at me like, are you talking about me?
Hellworks, the beard is getting lush. Look. I assume that's for G. I still look
I shaved, right, it probably would have been about 2 weeks or a week or whatever ago now. You know when you shave and you just like cut off a little bit too much? And I look like basically a born baby. I'm like, oh. And then on like Funkin' Hungry live streams or whatever, people's like, oh, that looks great. It makes you look younger, all this stuff. I'm like, it's not sticking around. Talking about you, your beard is looking quite spectacular, I must say.
All right, thank you. It's getting a little out of control, but well, thank you so much, Hellworks. I was just thinking, man, it's starting to get a little like on this side, it's like growing downward and neat, but on this side, it's getting fluffy and growing outward, and I'm just like,
I have the exact same issue. One side it's like grows downwards, the other side it kind of grows up or out. It gets to that point where it's just
now there's man with a better beard. Go full braided, Mythos. I don't know if mine will get that long. You and Dad have better beards too.
You could be the proper wolf brother then.
Oh yeah. Brother Roxas there and my brother Daz both have some glorious beards that can be braided. Every time I get mine to where I want, they tell me to trim it. Get a wood comb and a beard oil. It'll respond. I've got the oil. I just need to get the comb for it. I've still been using just a cheap plastic comb. X-Gear Commander, happy freaking Friday, my brother. I hope you're doing well. X-Gear Commander, we have been doing a few games at a local place in Conroe called Strategic Mind Games. And I know that's kind of a little closer to your end. So just, I'll let you, I think not next Friday, but the Friday after that, we'll be hanging out there again. If you would like to join us. BrotherOni's going to have to trim his lush beard for a work function.
Oh, no.
I have a wooden comb, actually, but I like this heated comb more. Cool. Maybe we'll see you then next year. I'll put it in the WhatsApp so that way, you'll get the address and everything. So, of the two models you said you were working on, which one are you working on right now? The Fisty brother or the Axe brother?
Well, I wasn't wearing a glove for a little bit, and the old rubbish, the old paint rubbish.
Yep.
So I'm just touching up the skin on pretty much all of them. A lot of the issue was on the little grot. He for some reason I gave him a good rub down, gave him a good rub.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
just and I'm doing like a little bit of a different skin tone, which is very natural greens. But for anyone that does buy Citadel, it's there's one that I didn't add to there. But yeah, it's Castellan green as the base coat. Then I'm gonna start building up with Death World Forest. Then I'll mix in some Death Guard green, and then for the grot, I might mix a bit of Nurglin green. But they're all pretty natural.
Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times I don't really do with I don't do like sort of Games Workshop style highlights, so I will mix them together as I proceed to the next stage. So it's like a little bit of a softer blend into each color, and the last one will be most likely for the grot, but I might even just dial it back into Death Guard green, so anyone that's into Death Guard will know that sort of green. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit hard. I could send pictures if we do art of the week or whatever. But yeah, it's quite a natural green, and then I'm just doing like I've done a lot of just browns for the pants or the clothing. I'm doing Steel Legion drab, and then I'll lead that into Bane Blade brown. So like that very like khaki sort of brown.
Very nice.
Yeah, like the fist stands out, but that was just kind of me testing out Imperial Fist contrast, which is good, but it's not. I don't want it to stand out like very bright yellow, so I'll be obviously working on that at some stage. But I've done most of the metals, which was a bit of a, like a bit of a grind in a way. It was just like I don't know. I like to get metals out the way because obviously they can contaminate the other colors and all that stuff. So yeah, a lot of the medals have been done, but it's getting to the stage where I can have some fun and start putting rust and other bits and pieces on it.
No, and I've seen you weather yellow before, and so I know that's going to be a treat because you've got a really good. You've got really good weathering skills, but also you've got a really good recipe for like rust effects and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I do have some of those colours on the palette ready. We'll see, obviously, where I go or what I get into. I'm touching up the skin at the moment, but I normally do. Again, I use a lot of Citadel colours. Just I had Rhinox brown, which is a dark brown, and then go into Mornfang brown, which is a sort of mid-tone brown. But I build them up in the recesses, and then sometimes do like a little bit of a glaze of Rhinox hide, and then it's like building towards that orangey rust color, which again is the last highlight. So that's the one I'm using the least. So like less is more when it comes to the brightest highlight. You just want to use it in those areas to make it pop.
Right. You always joke about how you're a slow painter, but the way you transition through your colors and build up really thin layers of blended colors, it's a lot of steps before you reach the next color. It's a really really neat and professional paint job. Me, man, if I got to do the same highlight more than 5-6 times, I start getting fatigued. Like, oh my god, it's taking so long.
That's not why I don't really paint that many Space Marines, because they have the very crisp edges, and obviously it's like sort of you want to highlight, but at least with Orcs, all the stuff's a little bit more smooth and less, like there's less armor panels, I guess.
It's fair.
So
Retraco.
I guess my,
I'm going to
I was
butcher
going to
this.
say, I guess my point is, like hats off to you because you paint a lot of Marines.
Thank you. I'm going to butcher this. Retropculus. Retropculus. Good evening, Gits. Good evening, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Hellwork says, Paint Horror PSA. Check out Army Painter Fanatic paints. They look like game changers. I haven't even heard of that.
I was going to mention that to you. The trailer dropped today, and it's basically a quick rundown. There's another paint line by Army Painter, but like they tested it out on bases, like just a black base, and it looked like the yellows and oranges and stuff were going on like basically in one coat. Like the opacity is really strong and good.
Nice. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, I would have probably just said retro, so I don't have to get tongue tied on the live stream. Retro. Oh, hello, retro.
That is fair. We'll see how they turn out. That must be what you were mentioning earlier when you said Army Painter changed their formula. Oni had mentioned that in a private chat earlier.
Yeah. So the War Paints Genetics, I believe, is the paint range. And it looks like they've expanded a lot of their. I guess Vallejo had done that with Game Color recently. How they changed the formula, they changed the designs of the pots a little bit, and then they phased out the old Game Color range. But it looks like Army Painter are doing that because how they have the quick shades, their shades. Army Painter have released, or they're going to release a few more shades. So they had a couple more skin tone shades. They had like a magenta shade. So looks like they're expanding their range, but they've worked on their formula to be a lot more go on smoothly. I mean, in the video, I did sort of smirk at one part. One dude's like, "Oh, it looks like it's airbrushed on," and I'm like, "No, not quite. Like it's good, but it didn't look like airbrushing." But yeah, like always, they had a lot of big name painters trying out the range, like Sam Lenz and all sorts of people from different big content creator channels.
I know a lot of people get great effects with Army Painter. I myself have tried them several times over, and I can just not get the texture and consistency that I want with Army Painter.
Yeah.
With their regular style. Obviously, I love Army Painter washes, and I've worked with a couple of their speed paints, which are okay. But like their traditional paints, man, I just can't seem to make them work for me personally.
Well, that's it.
We're heading to bed. Have a good night. Have a good night, Ashley and Greg. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and have fun with your game on Sunday.
Good night, gamers with coffee.
Fanatics has 122 colors. That is bold for a new paint range, putting out that many in one go. A lot of times I think most of these companies want to experiment, with their new paints, trying a few here and there. But that's bold. I knew I was going to overspray onto this white shield.
Yeah, Hellchild, I don't offer paint lessons, but I'm always happy to help. I have been trying to lead into commission, but unfortunately, a lot of people have changed their mind or haven't contacted me, and I guess I'm not the type of person to chase them down. And if someone wants me to do stuff, that's up to them, I guess, to sort of contact me. But obviously, anyone who is interested in looking at my stuff or speaking to me on G the Hypersapien on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, if you want to get a hold of me. Obviously, Hellchild sort of knows who is on my personal account as well. So obviously can speak to me if he wishes.
I definitely got to say, if you are looking to get some smooth, buttery blends, G is a master of doing smooth, buttery blends that have the same kind of like quality blends as if paintbrushing but by hand or airbrushing but by hand. You know that same kind of quality. It's really well done.
Well, I appreciate that.
And speaking of airbrushing, man, I am off my game tonight. I'm just like, okay, I've got a nice transition, a little more, and then like I just keep, overdoing it, and then it's like, oh, well, now the highlight color looks like the main color because I've done too much. That's my too much gene. A little more, effed it up. Well, I'm gonna have to darken that down. That's a little too bright. I'm not quite happy with that. Yep. A little more, shit too far. Exactly, Hellchild. That's exactly what it is. I find that when I start with a darker surface, because I was doing a little bit of pre highlighting there, like slap chop, but not because I wasn't dry brushing. And the places that I pre highlighted, I think I'd done a little too much because I think that's why it's coming out a little too bright. I'm normally used to working up from a darker starting area, but I wanted to try to push it a little bit further on the blade guard. I might just darken them down and start over. Vallejo are adding 36 more colors to the Express color range soon. Very nice. Those are ones I've been wanting to try. I tried the Army Painter speed paints because I've seen some beautiful work from some people, and I've got some middling results with them. I'm not super impressed. Like I'm not ready to trade them out for my contrast range yet, but I just need a little more work with them. They definitely have some potential. And obviously, I think part of the problem is like I've been trying, different colors just the colors I want, which leaves I'm using some of that first generation stuff with the reactivation color problems.
Yeah.
Like I like the magic blue color, but I need to try mixing it with some um, matte medium because I hate the way it reactivates when I try and go in for my highlight. Yeah, let's take some working and figure it out. I'm sure eventually it'll be fine. And then 2.0 are better than the original. And that's another thing I want to try. Although the one, so like I've tried the satchel brown or whatever the leather brown is of the 2.0, and I didn't have the reactivation issue. But then my problem with that one is that it didn't have any of that contrast kind of effect, and so it was just a very flat brown. And so for that, I think I'll be sticking with my contrast colors. Like I like using their snakebite leather and their gorgunter fur for like a darker, richer brown leather when I want those two would like really make some nice leather colors in my opinion.
Yeah, I've always liked snakebite brown. I like how it has like almost a slight yellowy tinge to the highlight areas.
Exactly. There's an echo, a big echo. Uh-oh. I like the metallics in 2.0. I have been wanting to try the metallics.
Yeah, the metallics look pretty good.
Retro. Sorry, I just read the description. I'm an idiot. Oh, no, it's all good. Yeah. I myself am working on some Centurion models here, and G is working on some of the miniatures from Mezgike Minatures or Mezgike.
Yeah, Orc Miniatures or Mezgike.
I did a review if you want to watch it. Oh, thank you. I will check it out. I like Vallejo metallics, but I'm always looking for good metallics. Check where that echo might be coming from. I got this. Yeah, okay. I got that muted. Say it right.
Echo coming from me.
I'm sorry?
Is the echo coming from me, or is it just in general?
I'm not sure. It's gone. Okay, that's good. I need another contrast trait in Snakebite. Yep, there it is again. I don't know. Wildwood is too dark for my orc pants. Gore Grunter fur sounds good. Yeah, Gore Grunter fur gives you a nice, rich, and dark leather. I don't have anything with it on hand. But then Snakebite will give you kind of a more yellowy kind of leather. Mythos is the echo. Where is my voice echoing from?
You have like echo cancellation on, or
I really don't know. I struggled to get the stream going tonight. I don't know.
yeah, if you go into where it says mute, the little icon that's pointing up and brings up your audio input.
Echo cancellation is on. So it's not from there. It might be on G if he has speakers, because G doesn't echo. Skeleton Horde is way too light, but it's great for my skull bits. Yes, does make a great base for that.
My audio is coming through the communications is through headset, and audio output is through headphones instead of my speakers, so I'm not using my speakers.
Yeah, I don't know. Craziness. Vallejo is S tier metallics. Yes, I just wish they had more gold options.
Yeah, see, I have a lot of contrast, but like we was discussing before, I have this stage where I can't really help but do like base coat layer highlight situation, but different than Games Workshop. I don't have the very broad highlight. I mix them as I go through the stages, but yeah, contrast has its uses. Most of the time, I'm using the more like washes, glaze sort of situation a lot of time.
I kind of do a mix. Like, I use them kind of the way they're supposed to be used when I'm doing certain effects, like leather. But
Yeah.
then, like, there are times when I'm using like space, base coating Space Marines. Where I'll do it. There's a filter, on top, and use it just as a filter color instead of the traditional contrast way. So I kind of use it for a mix of things. But I think that's kind of the best way, anyways. I don't think it was ever meant to be a be all end all. It's just a great tool for the toolbox.
Yeah, like obviously they kind of tried to market it a certain way just so it seems very new and different, even though at the end of the day they kind of glazes, or what they used to Games Workshop used to call glazes. Like, but one good way I like to use them, if I do if you lay them down and you use them how they marketed them, it shows you where the shadow and highlight is, and that's like a good way for sort of beginners to learn where the shadow and highlight on each sections of the model, like you were saying with pouches,
Oh yeah.
like on Space Marines. If you put like snakebite leather or something on it, it will show you, like, it will really bring out the edges, and it will show you kind of where it will give you almost like a guideline of where you can add your highlights. So then you can go in with a lighter brown and a darker brown and just like, just clean up those areas a little bit more. I just feel like it's kind of like a good guideline in a way for a lot of areas.
Agreed. I got my first airbrush on the way. I'm nervous to try, but I bet it'll make life much easier, at least for laying down values and base coats. It absolutely will, as long as you're okay with the learning curve. Because some people expect to be able to turn it on and just immediately level up their paint work. And like myself, I got frustrated with the learning curve because it was like all spattering and sputters for me at first, and consistency problems, and I ended up putting my airbrush in a cabinet for like 7 months. As Rob from Miniatures Paintbrush likes to say, I punish the inanimate object for my difficulties. Like, bad airbrush, bad. But eventually I got it down. Not that I'm great or anything. I want to try Tamiya panel liner. I love Tamiya panel liner. It is my go-to wash for just about everything now. I've just been using their black panel liner, but I want to get the brown and the gray one too. Tamiya panel liner is absolutely my main shade weapon. Absolutely. Totally agree. It is so good. It honestly makes me look better at transitions than I honestly am sometimes. I'll never use Null Oil again for deep recess shading. So agreed.
Because I know my brother got an airbrush. He's got a few cheapy ones, so he goes through them quite a bit because like the needles don't last on cheaper ones. But I do know that it took him a while to get used to it. But I know that he's kind of prefers that now. Prefers that to put down all of your highlights and just build up, and then like filter it with contrast or that sort of stuff. So obviously once you put the contrast on the areas that it's kind of like, as I guess as well, how, well, you probably do it as well, me first, but the Freak does it as well a lot with the airbrush. Just especially for Space Marines.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the filtering bit is definitely a useful tool.
Because last time I painted a Space Marine, it's like, a lot of like just little glazes to try to bring out the armor panels, so it has a bit of life to them.
Yeah, and I love that for vehicles, because when you do that to vehicles, it really kind of gives that pop factor really easily.
Yeah.
Just like spray in the center of the panel, and it'll make that those panels look like you spent forever on them, because you're bringing life to those flat areas, and it's just so nice to be able to do stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, the filtering thing you were talking about, I'm so jealous because like it took me a long time to learn to use the airbrush and to get halfway decent with it. Man, Oni picked up his first airbrush, and man, he managed to do just the filter technique, and he gets a better pop on my Ultramarines than I do. You know, just starting to use the airbrush. I still can't get my Ultramarines to look the way he was doing. By the way, those are the astute of you may notice that Freak is in the thumbnail tonight, but not with us, unfortunately. The wife of an IT tech guru. Freak is stuck working late tonight, so he wasn't able to make the show. But definitely feel for him, especially since he's been working out of town, and then he comes back, to his regular work, and all of a sudden the workload just like quadruples. And I'm sure some of us can relate to. Whether it's a day off, a vacation, or anything else, you leave work for a few days, you come back, it's just all piled up.
He tried Lotus Biscoff Mythos.
Oh, I love that stuff. I get them sometimes on the airplanes, but I can't really pick them up myself because I got the diabetes. So
Yeah, true. So this one's not too bad, but it's like an Oreo style where it's got the vanilla cream in the center of two Biscoff biscuits.
oh, that sounds tasty. I take it that's a review on Funkin' Hungry.
I was going to review, but I've just had so much stuff. So most stuff sits there for a while, but these I'm like, I'm just going to eat them.
That's fair.
Last night.
Okay, I think that's given some visual interest there.
Oh, nice.
Not picking up too well, but Mythos, I'm going to finish this month's painting competition piece on time. I swear, you can do it. The only way to get better.
On his
That's just, no, he's working on an orc piece for Conquest, and he has a habit of, with his painting competitions, of doing the majority of it the last the last week of whatever competition he's doing.
Yeah.
Speaking of Oni working on the competition piece, of course, Frost and Fist is proud to say that we're now affiliates of Parabellum Games, and you can check the link below if you're interested in checking out any Conquest merch. They've got some gorgeous miniatures, really beautiful painting pieces, and it's a pretty fun game too. You can check out the links over there to the link. That is not linking. Okay, I have to fix the link. But at the very least, there is. Oh, why do I need to fix that? That's annoying. Okay, we will fix that. But our code is there, and if you use our code, you can save yourself 10% off of any of the miniatures you buy, and it also helps support the channel. So. I'm back to boys after spending 2 weeks kit bashing metal slug models into grot tanks. Oh, that's cool. It was great fun, but I need more boys since I just started Orcs. Ah, well, welcome to the WA. Where are you getting it, Wolf Brother? Oh, I got my Tamiya panel liner from Amazon. I get almost everything from Amazon now. The brown doesn't hit as nicely as the black. It's quite faint, but it's a nice wash. Okay. Good to know. Thanks for letting me know. Brother Oni, you can do it. Is there anything else I need blue before I move on to purple? I don't think so. I think I'm good. All right, so you've got the two Mezgike or Mezkigels miniatures that you're working on. Any other October plans for you, brother?
I want to start working on my Iron Jaws again. My birthday is the 26th of October, so I might get Kragnos for. Well, he's basically a god for destruction in Age of Sigmar.
Nice.
But I can use him in my Gloom Spider if I wanted. I can use him in my Iron Jaws. But basically, once I smash out these Mezgike ones, I might start this, but then probably won't get it finished in October. That's a RTLW Captain Bloodclaw bust. So he's, I guess, their pirate orc.
That's really cool.
And that would be my first bust. But yeah, I guess I didn't really plan. I don't know if anyone else is feeling it, but this year's just flown by, and
yes,
we're into the 14th of October because it's Saturday here. So, there's not that much time left, really.
There is not, and I have yet to just make a start on Orcs.
And unfortunately, I was sick for about 4 days. So that slowed me down a bit, and just doing Funkin' Hungry as well. I'm trying to get my watch time up on that channel. So I'm doing normally live streams Monday and Saturday, and sometimes on Friday. And then obviously creating content. So you never get enough time, do you? So,
no.
But yeah, I'll be happy after I finish these Mezgike miniatures, which I'm sure I get them done, but I don't know if I'll start other projects, but I'm sure I won't really finish them. I mean, I need to put out some content on G the Hypersapien as well, which will probably be reviews, but I have wanted to do my video for realistic orc skin has done quite well for a noob like me, I guess. And so I might do that bright skin tone, where it was very kind of like I did on Frost and Fist live stream before. Mm-hmm. So what I might do is show people the contrast method, which will probably be just, the striking scorpion green on sort of like a white or zenithal base coat. And then I'll probably highlight that up a bit, or just clean it with traditional acrylic paints. And then I might show you as well how sort of, how I would do it without contrast. So building up to that, which will most likely be a darkish base coat, then moot green from Citadel, and then mix a little bit of Flash Gits yellow, into that. So then it really brightens it up and makes it pop. So basically, I guess I want to do like a cartoony style Orcs video. But
Well,
as
you
I
know
said,
me. I like cartoony style orcs.
yeah, probably going to miss the opportunity to release it in October though. But that's unless you're one of these like mini acts, I'm pretty sure he's high on like energy drinks. The amount of work he smashes out. As well, I've never really done it myself, but I wouldn't mind doing a comic book style orc recipe as well.
With the really
But
sharp,
like where it's like the shell shading style, where it's it'll be quite bright. I guess just how comic books. I mean, there's a lot of people that do that style now, especially with the Marvel stuff released. A lot of people are into that comic book style.
it's funny because like I totally get the comic book reference, but for me that style always says Borderlands.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my gosh, I have like no. There we go. I have like no control. My airbrush control is like really off today. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. I do it all the time to you because I feel like you've stopped and then you go to speaking and I speak. And I'm like, woof.
I also think there's like a delay when we talk on here.
Yeah.
Content on YouTube? What's that? You'll get. I know you work a lot, brother, but you'll get to fire up that channel eventually. I'd love to see some orcs painted up in that style. All right, you got Retrocalips. You got retro on board. Check your pressure mythos.
Yeah, which style does retro want to see? Was it the comic book style or just the bright orc skin?
I feel like it was probably that. I think that popped up around the comic book style, but we'll let them clarify.
Yeah, because I haven't really got a name. I'll probably just, because I called it realistic orc, how to paint realistic orc skin, comic book Borderlands style. Yeah, I'd have to sort of study or just watch a few other people because it's not a style I've really done. But I mean, at the end of the day, as well, it's not a traditional style for me. So I'll probably just say around the beginning of the video, if this turns out to look like trash, you don't have to follow the video. But yeah, I'll probably just say because I've done realistic orc skin, I'll probably do cartoony orc skin, and then we'll do like a comic book style orc skin. And then I might even do like smashing out, like batch painting, orc skin, or just orcs in general. I did do that kind of with my some of my orc boys I did recently. I mean, it still definitely takes a while, but just using washes to speed up the steps a little bit, and then just a little bit of layering on top of the wash. Hey, what's going on, Nate's Miniatures?
Hey, Nate. Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, the comic book Borderlands style. That's what he was looking for. I've seen people using Sharpies for that black lining on comic book style. Oh, I haven't seen that.
I have seen people use like Sharpies for metallics and stuff, and just me personally, there are some metallic pens that are out for miniatures, but I'd say they're more for like people that do cars and stuff like that. Where it's, but yeah, me personally, I wouldn't recommend using Sharpies and stuff like that.
I haven't
It's
seen it for
so,
the comic book style, but I can see where
yeah,
I have myself, especially when I was new to painting. I have tried the metallic ones on like swords and stuff like that, and some of the
yeah,
like shoulder trims. And I think that was a useful tool to newer mythos who had less painting experience. And not something I think I would use now, but could be a beginner friendly technique. The only thing is that if you just practice, I think you'll people who are that's good for can easily move beyond that step.
yeah. But there's like I did get this. So I didn't personally enjoy it that much, but I guess I haven't experimented a lot with it. It's AK like a pencil for rubber, so you can put it on tires or I guess whatever you might want to. They're like weathering pencils.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, like Oni was saying before, and like people was discussing in the chat before, the only way you're going to improve if you keep on trying. So if you do, if you try to cut corners by using Sharpies or whatever, then you're just not going to build that muscle memory of how to do whatever it is you may want to do. So you're not going to become an expert overnight at any miniature painting, really. So if you're a beginner, just work on just building nice base coats and just try. It's like a coloring book. Try not to go over the line. So if you do an orc skin, try not to paint the armor green. So you're just building up that memory of and just how to place paint properly and just work on the consistency of your layers. Like so that's putting a little bit of water into it and using your hand or using like a paper towel or whatever to take off some of the paint so your brush isn't overloaded. And that you just keep on practicing all of like the very basic techniques, and then start moving into whatever it may be. So you shouldn't. Well, I mean, you can do what you want, but I just wouldn't recommend using like Sharpies or whatever
I think
myself.
I think also it's kind of like what do you want to get out of it? Because some people,
Yeah.
they don't have the desire to get better at painting. They just want whatever will put models on the table quickly for them, which is fair.
Yes. So that goes back to we were talking about contrast and stuff, and that's exactly like that's a very good point, and it was on my mind when we was talking about contrast. If you just want to slap some paint on a miniature so you can play with them, contrast are pretty good for that, especially like Marines. But again, just try to take your time and just don't slap it on so it looks like not very nice. You can just take your time with contrast and just make sure you kind of do one element at a time, like the helmet. If it's a Space Marine, the helmet, the shoulders, and just build it up. But it is a very speedy method, and you can just slap some paint on and get them on the table and enjoy the games if that's what you want. So those
Agreed.
paints are very good for people that don't want to improve at more so the hobby, the building, the painting side of stuff. And I mean, when it comes to Games Workshop as well, they have push fit and stuff like that. So it is very beginner friendly these days, where sometimes you don't even need glue if you don't really care of what your miniatures look like.
I agree, Nate. His stuff is crazy, especially his temporal Terminator piece he did last week. Oh yeah, and no, I don't know if anyone does glow effects better than El Miniaturista. He's so good. I got back in the hobby after 17 years. I wish I had contrast paints when I started. makes life so much easier for base coating. Oh, absolutely. They're definitely a very beginner friendly tool. Well, now I have done my purples and I have overdone it in some areas. So now I'm going to go back to bright blue. And I think that's something I really enjoyed that Freak included in his tutorial. And obviously, I could just be, this could just be construed as me plugging my own channel, but Freak did a tutorial recently on the way he does his Imperial Fist Yellow, because a lot of people compliment it. And during that tutorial, he made it a perfectly natural part that he did his undershading in the tobacco brown color. Then he filtered his yellow on top. And then he took his highlights a little too far and worked back down into the brown and worked that a little too far. And then he worked back up his brightness to yellow. And, it was a good showcase that sometimes for the right blend, the buttery smooth blend of colors you want, it's a process of working back and forth. And I think a lot of times when we're watching experts on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, we just see people go through the steps and end up at a perfect, beautiful end result, And I think it's good to see that sometimes, the end result is done by a mixture of working back and forth, and that when you make a mistake or if you go too far in one direction, it's part of the process. It's not necessarily, like, oh my God, I've messed this up.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I think it's Cult of Paint and just even, I guess, Richard Gray and stuff. I like when they they show you the mistake, or they show you, because I guess when you're watching the whole process, if they'd skipped a big stage, you would notice that it went from, say, like one color, and then they've decided to change up the color or change up the way they applied whatever the technique is. But I like when certain channels they go through it and they tell you, I'm doing this, but I'm gonna, like, eventually I change my mind and I don't like the way it looks for whatever reason. They will sort of show you that stage instead of, like, myself and my brother used to always laugh when we'd watch some Games Workshop videos. They'll say, "Oh, put green on," and then they have that like tumbleweed sort of sound, that, and it would just like be perfect. Or sometimes you'll even see like little mistakes, and then when they do like whoosh, and then the next step is like it's all perfect. And for a beginner, you're like, "What just happened?" Just, it's kind of funny. But I did like some of the longer videos that Duncan did on Games Workshop, obviously when he worked there. But I don't know, some of the videos were quite amusing. Just how it just goes from just do this, and then all of a sudden it's like, for a beginner, they don't really they're not really teaching how to apply the paints, how to thin the paint, how the paint reacts on the model, which just put on green, and then it just looks perfect. And for someone, yeah, because I have spoke to people that have only just got into the miniature painting, and they used to get very confused watching some of the Games Workshop videos. It's like, because they don't really teach you, they just show you how to do it, and they miss out lots of steps. So it's always good to show the mistakes, so people go, okay, so they are human, they're not just a robot.
Oh yeah,
They can make mistakes as well.
I used to get so mad at myself because I always thought it was about painting perfectly, right? Like, paint inside the lines. And I used to get so mad at myself for every single misstroke, and I would get frustrated. Oh my God, I'd lose my temper. I'd be like, oh God, dang it. I can't believe but like, has something nobody tells you, because, you're, like I said, most of us learn by watching, people that are better than us at painting. That cleanup, I had no idea at the beginning of that cleanup and going back with, the original colors, just part of the process. That, mistakes are inevitable. Oh.
Yeah, and it's like when I was doing the green, it's like I've done this probably the base coat a couple of times, but as I said, because I wasn't using a glove, paint rubs off and whatever else, and that definitely annoys me when you like you've gone through and say you've done the skin, and then you do the pants, and even looking at some of the fur around his boots, there's a little bit of paint rubbage. So it definitely annoys me, and like I definitely get annoyed like anyone else, even a beginner. So you can definitely see it from a beginner's point of view, how they, like you was pointing out before, that you would get annoyed and you're like, oh, what am I doing wrong? But you have to realize that I'm sure even like Golden Demon winners have these issues as well. They might have ways around different issues because they've been doing it so long. But, I'm sure they go back to a miniature, or you sometimes might not be concentrated, and obviously like a little bit of like whatever color gets onto the wrong area, and you're like, okay, now I need to go back to that color to fix it. Like
Exactly.
it's just like you was pointing out. Sometimes when you're more of a beginner, or even if you're not like an expert professional painter, you just, what am I doing wrong? Why do I keep on making these mistakes? Well, you just have to realize that at the end of the day, we're putting paint onto miniatures. It's not like we're doing it in a computer program where you can you're not going to have certain mistakes.
Where is the delete button?
That's it.
All right, we got a bunch of chat here. Nate says, I remember when I was, oh, actually, first, Retro says, people don't see the struggle, they only see the result, which is so prevalent. When you're, especially you're scrolling Instagram or Facebook and you're like, oh my God, how did they even do that? But for every end game, I mean, somebody's probably had a lot of frustrations along the way. Nate says, I remember we're learning to glaze. Everyone skipped a crucial step because they just do it naturally. But it was Dana Howell that said, when glazing, make sure you wick off the excess on the towel. Yes. I also didn't realize that when I was trying to learn glazing. And I am like, why are these blends not coming out right? So simple, but you need to know exactly. Just like 3D printing, so many things people do not add in on their how to 3D print guides. I will do it, and I don't care about the views, and it might be an hour long, but I want to do the whole process. Yeah, that's true. And we appreciate you for it. Some mistakes turn into happy accidents. That's also true. Yeah, I've several times I've been painting something, made a mistake, and actually I like the way that looks. I'm keeping that.
What's the rule? If you make a mistake, it can always be battle damage.
Oh yeah.
And then people might say, that damage looked very good, and in the back of your mind, you're like, cheers. It was a pretty bad mistake, but I just, went with it.
It's very similar.
Like Bob Ross says.
I was watching
Happy Little Accidents.
Yes, the Happy Little Accident. The king of happy little accidents. I saw Peachy today on one of his tutorials, and another great painter, and he was saying he was doing stripes on his miniature, like a stripe going down to the center of an armor plate, and down the center of a helmet and whatnot. And he's like, if you add a little chipping and battle damage to the hazard stripes with the original color where it looks like some scraped off, it provides the illusion that your stripe is straighter and cleaner than it looks. I'm like, oh my gosh. First of all, that's a great tip. But also, second of all, the fact that such an experienced painter has a tip for cheating to look like you're more accurate than you really are. It's like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, the Painted Phase is a very cool channel.
Yeah, I catch them when I can. I don't find that all of their videos are for me. Obviously, there's some topics that are going to be more exciting for each person than others, but I do enjoy when I watch them.
Yeah, I mainly watch the interviews they do, and like you said, I guess if you're not into a certain topic, but I like a lot of the people that they interview, sculptors or painters or.
Oni says he doesn't wipe on a towel. Some people, I guess, just have better glaze technique, my brother. That's awesome.
What does Only do? Just light lick the brush off, light lick the remainder.
Oh no, I don't think he's a brush licker like myself. Brush control. Oh, that's what I love about orcs. Uh, I can be a little sloppy in places, and it just looks natural. That's true. That's true. I think that was why they were a really good place for me to start with. Some like I don't freehand. I am terrible at freehand, but what little I do, like checker patterns and stuff like that on orcs, or zigzags on a white scar. White scars being a little bit tribal, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Orcs being very tribal, and they're not necessarily known for patience and art. So I can afford to be a little more messy with those pieces.
Yeah, like Only was saying about not like using a towel. I'm pretty sure Richard Gray's like that. And if you watch Richard Gray when he paints, he only takes like a very small amount of paint off. Like he uses like a wet palette and he has his colors lined up, and you can see that he's taking just like a very little bit, just sort of filling up like a quarter, if that, of your brush. He's not getting to the halfway mark or whatever, and just yeah, like everyone's obviously different, and it just if you practice, you glazing or whatever, you probably don't need to use any towel or whatever to take it off.
That's fair. Makes sense.
I guess that's like I was saying before, how you just need to practice. You practice the consistency of your paint and how the paint's coming from the palette to your brush. Like if you're doing that thousands or even more times, you're going to eventually learn how much to take off the palette onto your brush and apply it. And
Uh, I don't freehand hazard stripes right now. Even for checkers, I go straight for the decals. I uh, just because I was doing them on vehicles. Well, at first I was just doing it on vehicles. Now I do it for infantry too. But getting the checkers to conform to all the places I wanted them to go,
yeah,
and that can be kind of tricky with decals. And I didn't have the patience. So my lack of patience is what led me to freehand those. And I think they came out okay. Now they look a little wonky when I set my def copters up next to each other, and they've got 3 different sizes of checker patterns
prices
going
and
on.
stuff.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
even then, I'm just like, they had the Grotz paint in. They don't have exact sizes for squares. So, yeah, it looks a little wonky. I make it work.
the grunts are just painting them so they don't get their teeth picked in anyway.
Yeah. Let's see. Ooh, lots of comments. Very nice. Love Peachy. Nice. Yeah, he's a pretty cool dude. It's funny because I didn't like him at first because I gotten used to Duncan on Warhammer TV, and
Yeah,
Peachy's personality is a little more flat, I think, and so he was not Duncan to me. He's a little more like his humor style is a little more dry. I was like, that's not.
yeah.
He's the other guy.
Well, I did enjoy Peachy on Peachy. I forget what she goes by on Instagram. This Emma woman that was on Games Workshop back in the day, and then obviously Duncan. But I have noticed that you can definitely tell Peachy's more comfortable now because it's like
Yeah,
his personality's coming out more, and just he looks a lot more happy and just
he does look more happy,
he
but I
won't.
noticed even when he's smiling and being joking on his channel, his delivery's a bit dry, and I think that's just part of.
Yeah.
I know, that's just some people's humor style is they've got a little drier, and I have heard that it is a stereotype. Not that I am necessarily agreeing with the stereotype, but I have heard that sometimes dry humor delivery is a little more common with English humor. So
It is. That's why I need to drink a lot of tea so I'm not as dry as I can be.
That's
Yeah.
pressure control.
Yeah, retro saying about a wet palette. Would you agree that a wet palette is definitely an upgrade from just going from the paint pot or using a dry palette, especially in I know like Frost and the Fist would be very similar how the humidity and stuff can like really dry your paint. So I feel like it's a game changer to have a wet palette. Like all of the stuff we've said really tonight, it's another tool that you'll have to get used to. But as soon as you get used to it, which shouldn't take too long, at the end of the day, it's just keeping your paint wet and able to use it for a lot longer.
Yeah,
Depending on the weather, sometimes it can be there for like a week. You come back to it, it's still there.
true. Admittedly, I don't use my wet palette as often as I should, unless I'm doing something specifically that I want to blend. It's just I I own a bunch of decent dry palettes, and I own 2 different wet palettes, and I most of the time just use a plastic lid because I'm lazy.
I guess that was two different, like two different opinions. What I have been, funny enough, I've had it for a while, is a texture palette from Artist Opus, and obviously that's more for dry brushing. But I have started to enjoy. I did some dry brushing on some of the metallics for the Orc. It was just like building up like that sort of chrome silver color on top of gunmetal, and just and I did a little bit on the base as well because it's kind of I want it to look like gravel. So I did like a couple of different greys, and that's a very good tool to have. And that's if you do want to learn more about dry brushing, Artist Opus, the channel, and Byron is definitely like a god when it comes to that stuff.
Oh yeah, he definitely makes dry brushing look like airbrushing.
Yeah, it's a little bit ridiculous how good he is, but I guess that's just like we're saying, and it's kind of funny because a lot of people are taught to use a dry brush and like wipe it on a paper towel, but wiping it on a paper towel really dries out the bristles. And then when you apply it, that's how it can be quite chalky because the paint's obviously lost a lot of its moisture. So therefore, it's kind of going on more just the dry pigments instead of like it. So yeah, I do actually have the Artist Opus dry brush set Series D, but I haven't used it. But I did crack open my army painted dry brushes, which are quite similar. And what I was doing, instead of like I was just keeping the bristles a little bit moist by just dipping them into my paint water and then just like getting rid of any of the remaining moisture. So it's like if you learn more about dry brushing, you want to keep your paint brush, the dry brush, moist, but not soaking wet. But you want a bit of moisture in there. But yeah, it kind of just made me enjoy dry brushing again a little bit recently because I kind of went off that.
Very similarly, having watched those tutorials, I've been using the textures that I built up kind of intentionally on my dry palette here.
Yeah.
And I'll rub it across there, and then I'll wick away some of the excess moisture. And I've been getting a lot better blends that way as well. And like you said, using just some of I'll take some of my painting water, and I'll dab it onto like a nearby paper towel or something. I'll use that to make my moisture sponge.
Yeah, definitely.
I got a bunch of chat I'm going to catch up on real quick.
No worries.
Retro says loves Peachy. I like Ninjon for his how to paint high quality quicker. Very nice. He did a Tyranid one, and that looked great. Yes, his Tyranids look amazing. I love Eons of Battle too because he mixes speed with quality, and his results are fantastic. Oh, Eons of Battle is they've got such quality work. Speaking of somebody who does such quality work and super fast, welcome to the chat, Elston Nation, my brother. So good to see you. Gonna have to do a tattoo painting tutorial. Hellworks does some sick tattoos on skin, and he manages to blend it so that way it literally doesn't look like paint on skin. It looks like blended into the skin, that like the way tattoos do. Do it, Hellworks. Oh, and he says he can't dry brush for shit though. Such a talented painter can't dry brush. I'm sure, just like the airbrush, once he puts his mind to it, he's got it. Yeah, just practice. That is just practice for your brush control. True. A lot of good painters have good control. I still don't have great control, but I definitely, having done this for, I think this is my 7th year painting, I can definitely tell, my brush control from where I started to now. But definitely, I still don't have like, when you watch people paint in tutorials and they just do the really quick, the quick confident strokes. I'm not there yet. But they've just always got such great brush control on those tutorials. I use a brush on matte varnish over the decal so I can paint or wash over it. Makes weathering super easy. It's a very good tip. Peachy is very dry, but he's so chill. I like that. I like it now more that I've watched more of him. Just at the beginning, I was like, oh, this is a little bland to watch. But like the more I've watched it, I've ended up in that same place as you. It's like, okay, this is like a cool, chill vibe. I had no idea who Peachy and the other ones were. I didn't really watch Warhammer content from Games Workshop. Okay. I knew of Duncan. That's because he was a painter for GW for a long time. I think Peachy was actually there longer, but of course, as Duncan was like the flagship of Warhammer 3.
Yeah, because they were both army painters before they were presenters, so they were painting, like for the codexes where you see huge armies.
Yep. British humor is dry. It's only a stereotype because it's true. I like my Poppet palette. I gotta try that. Yeah, Dr. Faust who uses only a cold tile palette. That's pretty cool. I use tin mixing cups because I'm so disorganized. I feel that. I feel that so hard. I think that's why I'm on a sour cream mood right now. Sour cream, lobster bisque. But I'll definitely step up and do the wet palette soon. I know I need to. Buongiorno, El Stadation. I love moist. Me too, Elston. I made a moisture pot for my dry brush. Elston is a madman for doing all those armies. He's a madman when he can finish an army in a Saturday afternoon? I don't know. See, does that make him a madman or a god? Pretty sure that's a villain line somewhere. Maybe I have problems. Talking about dry brushing, Oni says, nah, I have no need for it. That's why I said if you put your mind to it. A skill you don't feel like you need, I'm sure, that's a reason to not excel at it. We are dry, but I love moist. I'm a thing. Yes, you are indeed a thing. And that thing is a paint emperor god. You know me, once I decide I don't need something or use it, I just move on and don't look back. Yeah. There's so many times where you're just like, I'm done with this now. Back to work. Have a fantastic stream time. Appreciate it, Nate. And thank you so much for stopping by. Oh, man. I used that whole paint pot trying to get this consistency right, but I think I over thinned it. So we're going to try again. All right. I like to work with my Space Wolves Gray extra thin because Space Wolves Gray is my secret weapon for shading white. But because it can be so strong, and I want a very subtle effect, I like to work with it very, very extra thin. There you go. Ooh. So, with you working in thin layers all the time, would you say that glazing is your go-to technique, my brother?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times I might put the paint on kind of like a layer, and then I might come back with the previous. Say, if I'm doing a green skin, I might do like come back with like a darker green tone, and then kind of like blend in the highlight together. But I was watching a Vince Ventrella video recently, and he was doing like glazing, or it was kind of more so wet blending, and he was putting on quite thick layers, and he was saying that's because, and then you just move it around the model. I mean, that would more work if you're doing it on like big surfaces, like say like a giant or an ogre. But yeah, it was quite interesting to see, and he was saying the reason he did that when it was came to wet blending is because then he can come back with another color and the drying time. Like obviously, if you're more talking about glazing, but if you use very thin layers, obviously that's going to dry very fast.
Right.
But yeah, going back to what you were saying, yeah, a lot of times it probably is glazing where it's very thin layers, and yeah, you just because even sometimes when you first put the paint on, when the paint's wet, it looks different than when it dries. So sometimes you put it on and you're like, oh, that's not how I wanted it to look, and then like when it dries, it kind of blends in, or it looks different once it's dried.
Sure.
But I have been slowly, and I mean, it does look a little bit muddled. Like I guess you could use the reference of coffee staining that you normally associate with washes and stuff. But if you use very thin layers, sometimes it doesn't look smooth until you've done, like 5 or 6
Yeah.
layers, because you're building up like a new color on top of the previous color, even if it's the same color. You're using different tones. So if I'm using like I'm doing green and I'm putting a lighter green on top of the darker green, it does look a little bit weird until you've done a few layers.
Oh yeah, the splotchy phase.
Yeah, so it looks a little bit, yeah, sort of like it doesn't look smooth, and you can go back with the darker color as well and like tint it so it kind of blends it all in as well if you need. But yeah, as well, I'm not really doing like glazes on certain stuff. Like say with the fur, most of the time it's kind of like I'm because I want it to kind of look like the texture of fur or maybe bone. I'm like say with fur, I'm just do a base coat and then start picking out the individual textures of the fur with like a brighter color. So it does sort of, I guess I'm more doing glazing on skin and then on, like clothing. A lot of time I will do that, like slowly build up glazes from the dark color to the light color.
If you were to think of yourself as having a signature look, like you can always tell something of Emma's Orcs because she highlights her Orcs with the cross hatching style, or you can always
Yeah.
tell Fish's Orcs because he does the purple camo. What do you think would be your signature look if another content creator were to recognize your work?
Yeah, I think because I paint so many different green skins that I just change it up probably too much to have a style. But I guess that has funny enough kind of been in my mind a little bit because I'm starting to do, or I've done quite a lot of how I incorporate human skin tones into the orc colors, like the skin, how I put reds or pinks into them.
Mm-hmm.
So it did cross my mind. It's like, maybe I should just do that more often so it becomes like a style. But then as well, it's like because I like painting different colors or different styles, like I'm painting these just green, but I do have like the pink tones on my wet palette, but I'm kind of liking how they're looking. But it's like that's what I'm sort of the point I'm making. It's like should I add the pink tones just so it looks so when someone sees it, they may recognize that it's my style or whatever.
That's cool. I think it's cool to have a signature move that people identify your work with. I don't know if I necessarily have one, but I would like to think that uh, maybe my power weapons might stand out as something I do, just because I don't.
Yeah,
Mine definitely don't look like YouTube tutorial ones, but I like to think and honestly, it's because I'm not good at doing them the way the tutorials do them. But I like to think that mine have a pretty good look. Um, can I just say that scraping old lines is the worst part of the hobby? Man, you I would say you're not wrong. I know some people like my brother. Oh, there he is. Yeah, my brother Oni enjoys it, uh, and he does not do it obsessively. Uh, and yeah, I mean, some people find it very chill, very zen. But for me, it compounds on top of that building is already, one of my lesser favorite parts of the hobby. For me, I love the painting part, and so the build is always like the delay to get to painting. Like I'm like the kid in the
yeah,
back. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? I mentioned earlier this dreadnought I'm working on is just missing one panel that I lost. One panel comes in on Monday, and I'm just like, oh, I want to start painting it, but I got to wait till Monday. So when you compound that onto the patient it takes for scraping mold lines, I definitely agree.
we was talking about building on Oni's stream, and I don't know how retro does it, but a lot of times I find if I put on a series or a film that I can concentrate on what I'm building, but also I have that background, whatever. Well, I mean, music's okay, but I find like something visual, I guess, can like distract you more so than music can. And I just find that is a good way to smash out if I want to watch like a series and I want to build. I just find that it becomes like a lot more sort of fun, I guess, if you want to use that word to do.
I can feel that. I have been building more of my own stuff this year, and
Yeah,
especially like a variety of things, infantry, tanks, whatnot. And I have definitely found that the best time for me to work on that is like in the mornings and in the evenings. I spend time watching stuff on TV with my lovely wife Lily, and
yeah,
while we're watching stuff, you know, I find it better to build during that time, so that way I can still. It helps with my regular ADD because I don't have the ADHD, but I can my brain when I'm multitasking works better. It's crazy. I work better when I'm doing multiple things at once or when I'm working to a really close deadline, which is sucks because then I'm panicking all the way up until I'm actually hustling. Anyways,
yeah.
But yeah, so when I'm doing multiple things like talking to my wife, watching the TV, and assembling models, that's when it gets kind of zen for me. I can enjoy it to an extent, but after 2-3 hours of it, I'm so over. I can definitely I can definitely see that retro. Um, Oni, so Freak and I were playing our 750 point game 2 weeks ago, and he was working on mold lines. He was building his conquest minis, and Freak was trying to talk to him for like a good, 4 minutes. Oni didn't hear nothing. He was just in the zone working on those mold lines. I can't watch anything well when I'm focused on modeling or painting. I have trouble painting or building when I'm not watching anything, because then like I'm just focused on the monotonous parts. I've definitely got to have something else going on. Speaking of which, doing something while hobbying, we will be doing our hobby hangout after this in our Discord. We'll have the Discord up. Anyone who wants to join after the show. We're going to end the show here at about 10-15 minutes. I'll take a quick bio, and whatnot. Get myself a little snack. I'll come back on and I'll send out. I'll open up the Discord for anyone who wants to hang out. So I know Thomas is going to be there tonight. Wyvern's going to be there. So yeah, and of course I'll be working on some of my stuff too. So anyone who wants to join, you are more than welcome. Never had much love for orcs until or for building until I started kit bashing orcs. When I'm doing something like that, it's wonderful. But by the book, yeah, I could do without it too. Yeah, I get that. That is one of the few times I do enjoy is when I'm doing some kind of kit bashing or converting. And I definitely have some cool stuff. Oh, I got to show you sometime. I don't have it around me right now. It's over on my shelf of stuff. But some of my Orky conversions are some of my favorite things ever. Like I've got a bone breaker for my orcs. Although I think now it's just all the battle wagon, right? That's a shame. But like on top of the bone breaker, because I bought it secondhand off eBay and it didn't come with a hard case on top. And so I kit bashed one out of some popsicle sticks, some plastic card. And then I built up a little stage. And I had a little rocker with a little guitar, putting out his devil horns and his rocks too hard. And then I got some floodlights from some Imperial Guard tanks, and I painted them up like 3 different colors, like he's at a concert. And I had my brother 3D printed some little speakers. Next thing you know, I had a whole little stage set up on top of this battle wagon. That was pretty cool. What's building by the book? All I do is kit bash. That man loves his kit bashes. I've got 3 Grot Killicans that are made from a little 3D print a friend of mine sent me that he did of. They're like little. They're on little tracks. They're like little pallet jack kind of things, but like on tank tracks. And I kit bashed them. They're called servo haulers. And I kit bashed them into 3 Grot Killicans. And that was another fun project. And all 3 of them look different because I kit bashed them all different. I haven't played my orcs in a while. I don't think I've actually had a game since I built those, so they haven't seen a game yet. I want to do these highlights, but I don't think this contrast is quite dry yet. Just a reminder to everyone, it is Orktober, and we do want to send Roxy her gift box sometime this month. Anyone who hasn't been here for it, community member and all-star orc genius who has done some of the most amazing kit bashes for orcs. Roxy the Riveter had a home fire earlier this year and lost all of her hobby stuff, paints, brushes, all of her miniatures, like literal years of collecting orcs and other stuff, and just all lost it all in her own fire. Like, we're trying to help her get back into the hobby by replacing some of her orc stuff, and we've also taken some of our taken the liberty to help get some more paints, more brushes, wet palette. We're trying to get all that for her, and we're still taking donations. Anyone who's got even bits, I'm talking about. I'm 3D printing bodies right now, orc bodies. So if you just got spare sluggas, choppas, like literal just bits sitting around your bit spot, we're taking donations. Hit us up on Facebook or Instagram, or you can email us at frost.and.fist@gmail.com. We're taking donations just to try and send as many bits and whatnot to get her back in the hobby after literally losing everything in a home fire. I mean, like not just hobby stuff, lost like all of her home stuff too. Thank goodness she was at home. But yeah, and I think recovering from a fire is traumatic enough by itself and losing everything. But I think having a hobby, your hobby, your comfort place, your safe spot, definitely helps make stresses like that a lot easier. So, follow me on Insta. Thank you so much, retro, retro, retrocalypse, retrocalypse, retrocalypse. I'm gonna get it. So I will definitely follow you back. Where's my phone? Here it is.
If you want to join, even though I believe you came from the 40k Orc community, which is obviously I've been a part of for a long time, and I love that page. But Gorkamorka's Workshop, if you want to check that out on Facebook, we have a Discord and all that stuff as well. It's a orc community, but we kind of do fantasy, and so it's basically any orcs fantasy third party. You can even put some Gloomspike goblins. So yeah, if you want to join a different orc community that we sort of run ourselves a little bit, we do have a Discord, and we have, funny enough, people aren't doing as much for October as I thought they might, but that's fair enough. But yeah, it's the Orc community that I'm talking about is Gorkamorka's Workshop. We're not quite to 1,000 followers on Facebook, so
There you go.
the one you're talking about is Gorkamorka, which is just for the tabletop game Gorkamorka. The one I'm talking about is Gorkamorka's Workshop.
I love this metal slug tank. Do you mind if I share it, Retro? Okay, I am so horrible. We started the show late tonight, and I ended up not making time for Art of the Week segment tonight, and I apologize to everybody who sent submissions. However, even though I didn't take time to do the full Art of the Week, I do want to show this amazing tank here. I see you got red. Are you doing the oh my gosh, the Speedwall guys? My brain is
Evil
so
Sons?
right now. Huh?
Evil Sons?
Evil Sons. I was like something Sons. The Serrated Sons. Wait, those are Space Marines. Oh my goodness. Got that CRS, guys. It's a very serious medical condition. Guys, check that out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you guys can follow Retrocalypse. Retrocalypse. You guys can follow Retrocalypse now on Instagram. And yeah, check out, look at this stunning work. It's the first post, but I'm sure there will be many, many more to come. And yeah, look forward to seeing all your orcs, buddy. And I think you said the next big project is back to doing some boys. Rhymes with apocalypse. Yeah, it's. I definitely could tell that, but it was the transition in the middle is what's catching me. It's like it's stuck in my mouth. Giggity. It's getting stuck. Anyways.
Retrocalypse.
Huh?
Retrocalypse.
Retrocalypse.
Yeah.
Retrocalypse.
Yeah.
Retrocalypse. I'm gonna get it one day. Hey, Roxy, we were just talking about you. Yeah, the transition in the middle is what was giving me the hiccups. So beautiful, beautiful work. I love how, I know you said that your checkers are all decals, but I love how you said, I know you said you mat them down and shade them. That definitely works on helping bring it to be part of the model and the miniature, not just like a stuck-on decal, which I know mine can sometimes look a bit like that. But really fantastic work, brother or sister. I don't assume. I don't know you. Actually, it's on your serum. Yeah, brother. Don't talk about me behind my back. Say it to my face, biatch. I was saying that we love you as a member of our community, and we want to do nice things for you, and we want to send you some stuff to make up for the fire. That's right. I said what I said. Oh my goodness. So yes, everybody go on to Instagram and give Retrocalypse a follow. I'm gonna keep butchering it. I apologize, but hey, just uploaded a second one. What? Well, we'll take a look at that one too. Oh my god, this looks so cool. This one's even cooler than the first. Okay, now I have to go back and do the thing. Screen and there we go. Yo, this be badass. Yo. And oh, it's multiple upload. Oh yeah. Ah, okay. So we can see the different sides of it. Man, I love the transition there from the reds into the oranges out at the edges. Got to figure out how to hash that stuff. I'm new to Insta. I really like your hazard stripes. They actually do look really neat and straight and spaced well. Does it work if a commenter does the hashtags? There we go. Followed retro. Yes. Thank you. I'll follow you back anyone once I get back to my phone. Stuff like that. The broader, the better. That's how Instagram. Oh, yeah. Like mini painting, miniature painting. Grumpy Guy Gaming. So good to see you, my friend. I am so sorry. We got started late and I did not do an art of the week today, and except for this one right here. Just because we were chatting with a community member. I promise we will be back on track soon, though. I'm just a really horrible host without Freak.
And he has to put up with me as well. So
You mean I get to put up with you? Because that's a pleasure, yo. And we are going to make sure. I don't know how to do this on the computer, so I'm doing this part on my phone. Orcs are green. We'll use green. Now we'll do red for evil sons. Yes. Go. Follow. Retro. Retrocalypse. Retrocalypse. For some badass orky goodness. Done. Put it crooked. My story. Boom. Okay. And using the power of our audience, we're going to share it so that way a whole, like, 3 people can see you. Mythos is always running late when Freak is off. It's like clockwork at this point. I don't know how to do the technologies. I push the button and it may or may not work. The hashtag keywords to link with other posts using keywords, keep them simple and they will come. Speaking of the angles here, I love all. Oh, hey. I don't know why I didn't notice the glow at the top. That's really cool looking. You know, I love this because it kind of reminds me of like a tiny version of a Stampa. You know, the tiny grot version of a Stampa. Like just the way it kind of towers and is built upwardly like this. And it's got the big cannon in the middle of its, you know, chest area. Freak is the order. Mythos is the chaos. Yes. I totally half-assed the OSO. It looks good, though. It looks good. Hoping the airbrush will help. I love doing glow effects with the airbrush. In fact, that is like 90% what I use the airbrush for these days, is just doing needless glow effects. Okay, we are going to close out of my tab so you guys can't see all the prawns that I has playing in the background. But speaking of prawns, guys, we will be dropping a new OnlyFans video collaborating with G the Hypersapien tonight at midnight. So stay tuned for that. If you guys are not yet subscribed to the OnlyFans, you know where to find us. And if you don't know where to find us, keep searching until you do.
good content as well.
Thank you for the shout out. That was really cool of you and didn't intend to hijack the street. It's all gravy. You know, our favorite thing about normally we do when my brother is here, normally we do a segment called Art of the Week where we like to highlight other people's work in the community. It's all about building up the community and just celebrating this amazing hobby with other people. And so when he's here, normally we do a whole segment on just sharing people's artwork and letting them know how amazing they are for taking part in the hobby and putting in the work that they do. Oh, wow. Okay. 50% this month only, of course. Link in bio. So yeah, and that's just like I said. That's just what we like to do. Anyone who wants to hit us up in the Discord, like I said, we'll be painting together afterwards. You're all invited. You are interested, hit us up any of the places that you follow us. Instagram, Facebook. You can always follow me, Mythos Kushranada, on Facebook as well. And yeah, we'll get you into the Discord, get you into the Hangout, and I'll just do some painting together, guys. G the Hypersapien, of course, you can see his name on the screen. If you want to search it on YouTube, you can always find him in our link tree down and below, the Friends of the Frost and Fists. Check him out. And of course, there's also a link down there. If you guys like eating, which I got to say, I'm a big fan of it. If you guys like food in general, he's got a food channel called Funkin' Hungry. You can find down in the description below. As he said earlier, you can always follow him on Gork Morch's Workshop as well. This guy's all over the place. He is an Orky presence online. So yeah, and of course, again, I definitely want to say this is the call to action, guys. It's time, and I'm gonna do a video tomorrow. But I just want to remind everybody, if you haven't had a chance, if you've been meaning to, October, guys, let's make it happen. Let's get Roxy some orcs. So get in touch with me, hit us up, and yeah, let's get it going, guys. We got a couple of donations for Roxy already. We have done stuff, and like I said, I am printing out some bodies right now. So guys, so you guys have some weapons, arms, random bits from the bottom of your bits collection, it'll all work. It'll all help. So get in touch with us. Where to donate? You can reach out to me, reach out to us on Instagram, Facebook. We'll chat there. I don't like throwing out addresses and whatnot, just you know, on the air. But yeah, hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, and definitely we'll chat. Or like I said, you can always hit us down below. There's also a video I will link right now with more donation information. If anyone watching back in the archives wants to click the link for, but we have a video for that called Helping a War Boss Out, because Roxy is a brilliant war boss. Boom. And that is our video on the subject, and that has some donation instructions as well. But like I said, you guys can always just send me a personal message on Facebook or Instagram, and I'll give you guys the address that way as well. All right. So yeah, we plugged where they can find you, G. Any closing thoughts for you, brother?
Where am I?
What are we doing? Where is this?
What's happening? No, like always, I appreciate being here with you and helping you struggle over, you know, the line here. Nah. If you do want to follow me,
being with you. I appreciate being with you.
But yeah, if you want to, this name here, just Google it, put it into most social media. You'll be able to see this ugly face here, or sometimes some minis. And if you want to go and check out Funkin' Hungry or G the Hypersapien on YouTube, go and do it. I'd love to have you there, and I'd love to have you as part of the pack, right?
As part of the pack, baby. I know lots of Orc fans like to stop by our stream, and I got to say, if you want to level up your Orc skin painting, G the Hypersapien has one of the best skin tutorials for Orcs. No airbrush needed on his channel, so go check it out because it is a great tutorial. All right, guys, we're going to end it here. Like I said, hit us up if you want to get into the Discord chat afterwards. We'll probably be painting for another 2.5 hours. Usually, I like to paint until about 2 a.m. Central Time. So, yeah, hit us up on social media if you guys want to get in on the hobby hangout. If you guys like tonight's episode, make sure that you, I don't have the sound effect, G, I'm sorry, but grab up an ox and smash that like button in the name of the Emperor. Drop us some comments down below if you're watching from the archives, and feel free to be part of any of tonight's ridiculous conversations. And if you guys are not yet part of the pack, and we would love to have you, first of all, check out and sub some of our friends down, the Friends of the Frosted Fist link below. And we'd love to have you sub to these guys. So hit the subscribe button, and we'd love to have you as part of the pack here on the Frosted Fist. Till next time, guys. Stay frosty.